Well, hello again, race fans, and welcome to another round of the U.S. IndyCar League, soon to be the International IndyCar League, right here on VirtualRacing.Network. Welcome. I'm Trevor Greenfield. I've been with you since Season 10, and here we are in Season 15, race number 8 of 12 at 62 laps around the famed Watkins Glen International, presented by Stick Quick, as always, right here on VirtualRacing.Network. Ongoing coverage of the U.S. IndyCar League, and what a great place to be back here at the famed Watkins Glen International Circuit. So we're just getting the final moments of qualifying or of practice done here, and then we'll be heading out there to qualify momentarily. So many great races have been done here at Watkins Glen over the years, and all of the series have visited this track at one time or another. NASCAR going to be here in just a few weeks at Watkins Glen. So for those of you lucky enough to be around Watkins Glen, New York, and get a chance to come out and see NASCAR Cup cars out there on track, that should be something else. Of course, Formula One has also been here. IndyCar over the years, different iterations. Today we are racing the classic circuit. So that means that we basically have the most basic circuit. I'll put that track map up there. There was an addition with what's known as the boot added on much later. Watkins Glen, originally a real road course that used to run through the town of Watkins Glen, and of course those old public road raceways, not safe whatsoever, and so they did away with that after some time and built this purpose-built facility here in Watkins Glen. And so many years later, iRacing doing their laser scan, we're so fortunate to be able to come out here and get a chance as racers to head out there and give it our all. So here, the U.S. IndyCar League, in race number 8, we do have a new points leader, which we'll get to here in just a minute. After 7 races, finally a new leader has emerged that has a very familiar name. But today's race is quite different. As you can see, Mike West out here now putting in some qualifying lap on his very first lap at the moment. We also have Rick Lovison on track. David Strid just coming out onto track now. Jimmy Drennan also on a flyer at the moment. Here's Rick Lovison. Hometown listed in Chicago, but actually based out of Massachusetts. And here is Jimmy Drennan. He's had a lot of speed here in the league, but the reason why this track is so different for the U.S. IndyCar League to visit is because U.S. IndyCar League is predominantly all about ovals. And so 11 of the 12 races per season on oval circuits and just the one road course. And so, as you see, Graham Bunyan topped the charts there with a 55.17. Jason Lowe on your screen, 55.71 after his first lap. We're going to see if Jason can manage to take any of those sector times away from Graham. We still have David Strid yet to come out. And I do see that Richard Kelbaugh, as well as Julian Altena, now in the field. Haven't seen Julian for some weeks, and Lowe getting very loose, exiting the corner there onto the start-finish straight. So where will that put Lowe? Does he improve? Yes, he actually did improve. 55.62 that time, and did go green sectors for both laps. Graham Bunyan did a 55.17 on his second lap as well. So that will be good enough to keep pole position. How about this guy, David Strid? He's known for his speed as well. He's just completing his first lap. We can figure out where our sectors are. There we go. So we can see purple sector 2, green sector 1, and sector 3, but still not quite fast enough. That sector 2 time, very, very fast, but approximately 0.2 off in the third sector and about 4.5 off in the first sector. So now he'll get another chance here, Strid will. So you see there's that loop there. They call that the inner loop that they're bypassing, and that's frequently done because the speeds that are seen with these cars as they enter into that final bank corner off of the backstretch, as Strid goes really high over the curbing there on the apex, and that will hurt that qualifying session. Here's Julian Altena for Velocity Online Racing. He has not made a start here in U.S. IndyCar League for some time, but it's great to see him back. Might even be over in our chat room at the same time, as sometimes he does. And that's not going to be good enough for getting in a second qualifying lap for Altena. But that's okay, because his first lap was good enough to get him up there towards the front. So that is qualifying. Let's find out how they are going to be starting for today's race. This is your final order. On screen now, Bunyan ahead of Altena, Strid, and Lowe. Mike West ahead of Stefan Harding. Jimmy Drennan ahead of Mr. Stick Quick, Richard Kelbaugh. Of course, Watkins Glen's race number 8, presented by StickQuick.com, as always. And we'll get a chance to talk a little bit more about Stick Quick, our favorite live read to do here at VirtualRacing.Network. Dan Ensch going to be starting 9th with Will Stearns alongside. Then Rick Lovison and Manuel Gomez-Esteban with Danny Alt on the last row, but I don't think Danny is going to make it to the grid. So drivers to the grid, drivers to your cars, and so far not quite seeing Danny Alt making it, but that's okay. So we're going to have, I believe, 12 cars with us here to start today's race, and looking forward to it. Once again, this, Watkins Glen, such a fantastic circuit. It's quite simple, if I'm being very, very honest, but that's part of the beauty of this track, is very simple corners, medium to high speed corners throughout. A lot of places to create passing. Definitely the front stretch and the back stretch, both fantastic places to make a pass. The final corner, as you can see there on the edge of your screen, a big sweeping corner that's kind of easy to get wrong at one point or another, and a lot of times that can lead to these drivers being able to make a pass on this front straightaway. So as the drivers are out there getting ready to grid up, let's go ahead and take you through where the points are coming into today's race. And of course, today's points also brought to you by StickQuick.com. So Graham Bunyan takes over the points lead here, as Jason Lowe suffering a VR virtual reality headset disconnection last week, and that really caused a problem. Hopefully he does not have that same issue this week. These drivers out there on track right now doing a full pace lap before we get underway with today's action. 64 laps coming at you momentarily here from the Watkins Glen International Circuit. Jason Lowe slipping back into second, and Dan Ensch holding strong there in third, but Dan can't look too hard in his mirrors, because very quickly climbing David Strid, who does have one less start than anyone else in that top group, and then Mike West also having lost a spot this week. He could come climbing back as well. Ryan Bowles also not able to get in as many starts as everyone else, and that is definitely costing him some points. Take a look through the rest of the championship order there, and it's good to see some other drivers hanging tight in there. Iñigo Mardones, Richard Kelbaugh, But I don't believe Iñigo will be in today's field. In fact, I don't see him in the starting list. So unfortunate when we don't get our drivers who can make it to every single race, but we all have real life commitments. And so that's why it's just such a blessing to be able to even get out here for a single race, let alone make it an entire season and make that commitment. Just strong appreciation for those regulars that can do so. So here we go, getting set for race number 8, season 15 of the US IndyCar League right here, VirtualRacing.Network. Graham Bunyan will be leading us down to the green flag momentarily as he heads out of the final corner and makes his way down to the start-finish straightaway. We are live and green here at Watkins Glen, and David Strid already making a move down the inside of Julian Altena. There's problems behind, though. We've got Stefan Harding off. Jimmy Drennan having a problem. Richard Kelbaugh also getting caught up in that mix. But back up front, it is Graham Bunyan. David Strid now back under attack from Julian Altena. Altena down the inside. He can't make that move done. And he'll slot back inside, or excuse me, back inside behind the car of David Strid. And there, Altena looking to make another move. Nope, he tucks back in. So Strid holding very strong here against the very experienced Julian Altena, who it seems once a season at least wants to pop in for a good time here in the US IndyCar League. And why not? Great competitors here and a great chance to show off your road racing skills. But thus far, it's Graham Bunyan who's led the entire first lap, and he has set sail, and that is not good news for the rest of this field, unless you're David Strid teammate. So let's take a look a little bit further back. This is Richard Kelbaugh, who's already climbed 2 positions, and just behind him, it's Will Stearns, and then Jimmy Drennan has lost a spot, and I believe Dan Ensch just going a little wide there in your picture. On board with the End ALZ machine for Last Lap Motorsports and Dan Ensch. And there you can see Stearns having trouble. That was really similar to what we saw Strid do earlier in qualifying. So Dan deciding to back out a little bit, perhaps saving some tires, saving some fuel. We all know Dan. Well, Dan also letting us know today that it looks like about 15 to 16 laps. So if you can only do 15 laps and this goes green the whole way, my math is, you know, I'm not the best at these math equations, but it would say to me that you'd have to save a little bit of fuel at least. Now, while we were watching that other battle, this was a moment ago with Altena getting by David Strid on track. Here's Altena down the inside on the backstretch, completing that pass very successfully. And then not much longer after that, there was this moment from Manuel Gomez Esteban, who has a great new livery this season, by the way, but had a quick off track. Now back on, manages to get things going again. So your current top 3, now working on lap number 4, Graham Bunyan leads it. He's led from pole position and thus far has over a second gap to the next closest car. That's Julian Altena, Velocity Online Racing. Then in third place, it's David Strid. Strid starting in third and momentarily taking second position, but now back into third. Looks like Altena that time setting the fastest lap of the race, a 56.07. There you can see it. Actually, not last time. I guess the previous lap to that, lap 2, setting that fast lap. 6:125 at that time. Well, something's wrong with our timing and scoring software because he broke his own purple sector lap, unless there was an off track, and perhaps that's why it's not being recorded as official fast lap, which is definitely an easy thing to do here. As we see Stefan Harding now battling with Dan Ensch, this back for 8th position. So definitely, as I was saying, this track is just one of those tracks that there are numerous places where you can run wide. And, so picking up a subscriber, thank you so much to those of you who are watching. Once again, getting some great viewership. Make sure to subscribe. Hit that big red subscribe. Come on, you've done this on YouTube a billion times. Click that big red subscribe button and you get all the US IndyCar League races right here on YouTube, as well as many, many more yet to come. So, back up front, it is Graham Bunyan who leads by just under a second over Julian Altena. And just 1.5 seconds from Bunyan back to fellow countryman David Strid in 3rd. Tight battle happening here at the front. But we look back at this battle that's been brewing between Drinnen and Ensch. Now, Ensch is not known as someone to heavily attack the car in front unless it's necessary. He loves to play the conserve game. He loves to take opportunities where they arise. Oh, and there it looked like Gomez Esteban got into the back of Ensch on entry to that corner. Unfortunately, that will cost him his front nose. Obviously, he'll need to come in and pit for that. So that was really unfortunate for Gomez Esteban. And so he'll have to, as I mentioned, he'll have to pit here. Looks like this is one heck of a battle happening side by side through the loop. And then Stearns emerges as the victor there, but slams the wall. This is live, folks. Will Stearns now also out of the race. You saw it just a moment ago. See if we can figure out exactly what took place there. This is Stearns. He had just made that pass on Stefan Harding and then just, was following Richard Kelbaugh through the corner, and the car just wanted to come around on him. And like I said, this is one of my more favorite tracks to race here on iRacing. I can't really define it. For some drivers, they love it. Some drivers, they hate it. I don't really know what makes it just stand out so much for me. Maybe it's the history of racing here since Grand Prix Legends and doing the GPL rank and trying to go faster than everyone else in the world. Some of those racers still big names in sim racing today, but this track just has so much history, Formula One, IndyCar, etc. over the years. And one of the characteristics of this track, as you can tell, is how high speed it is. And so that plays a big role on wearing these tires. And so management of the tires is always a big factor. As you see Altena going quite wide there, trying to track down Graham Bunyan. And so these drivers are definitely going to have to manage these tires over the course of this stint. Now here on lap number 9, Altena maybe starting to feel a little bit of slidiness on them tires. Yes, that is a technical term, slidiness. So here you can go a little bit wide into turn 1. That's part of the corner. But they've done some, on iRacing, they've done some tightening up of where those corner boundaries do lie. So you do have to watch and make sure. Here we've got a possible pass attempt coming down into the boot. Is it going to be? Yes, it is. it's Julian Altena who takes the lead away from Graham Bunyan. Altena, the Dutch driver, now moves into first, and Graham will now have to figure out how to get back around. I'm sure Graham won't be too concerned obviously from a championship point of view. He's got a whole championship ahead of him. He doesn't need to necessarily throw away a race trying to chase a win, but then there is the matter of pride, you know. You don't want to have somebody come in who only races one race a season with the league and possibly take victory. Nevertheless, Julian Altena runs his own broadcasting network, Velocity Online Racing, and also his own league. Actually, multiple leagues over there, and was doing some broadcasting with a league that we used to formerly broadcast, the Prime Meridian Racing League. So very, very busy young man, and if I do say, not only is he a capable IndyCar driver here on the iRacing service, but he's just a teenager, if you can believe it. And so what an incredible, bright future for that young man, Julian Altena. But if you don't know his name yet, you should definitely start to find out a little bit more as this young man continues to make waves in iRacing. Graham Bunyan, though, not really trying to keep up right behind Julian. He's certainly not going to waste that push to pass. Unfortunately, we do not have access to push to pass information here in this timing and scoring software, but sometime we will hopefully get access to that. And there you see Dan Ensch going off just in front of the leaders. So Ensch having a moment there, and that giving Julian Altena a bit of a heart stoppage. So what I was going to say as we watch these cars continue around here, as far as the tires go, and again, this can come a lot down to the setup and how it's configured. This is a fixed setup here in the US IndyCar League. And we also were having a note here. It says Stefan Harding has had a moment and has crashed. So Stefan was shown in 8th and now gets it turned around. Let's see if we can back it up and see if we can figure out what exactly happened. He was racing with Jimmy Drennan, gets into the back of Drennan. And I think Drennan did manage to get the car back under control and keep going. So, fellow Australian, Stefan here having a difficult time, and he'll limp that one back into the pits. In the meantime, it is Julian Altena who continues here on lap number 14 to add to his lead, now up 1.3 seconds. And actually that time, last lap, sector 3 time was his fastest of the entire race, 13.30. The fastest of the entire race thus far. So as the fuel begins to burn off, the cars do get a little faster on the straightaways for sure. And what I was going to say is, even with the added outer loop section of this track, it is really the final section of this track, which is common to all the layouts, that is the most difficult on the tires from what I have found. So the final 2 or 3 corners are very easy to get wrong. And so this setup provided by David Strid this week, and Strid, you know, grinds these setups and really tries to make them good and raceable for the league. But it can really come down to the quality of the setup for sure. As Julian Altena, they're getting around Rick Lovison. Rick currently racing in 8th place. Another subscriber coming in. Thank you so much for joining us here. Great to have you all with us. But as Julian continues around here, he does not seem to be having those same issues. And basically, you do end up needing to just pedal the car. And we do have another off track from Stearns. So Stearns here off track, getting it really wrong and back into the wall. And that one's going to take a bit more time for him to fix in the pits because they are all out of fast repairs. So now we're getting our first pit stops, and this is Jason. Actually, Jason Lowe has hit the wall. We have, at least from what that would indicate, let's see if we can just back it up and tell where this happened. But we do have, it looks almost like on pit entry. We'll play it back here. Go on board with the 004. This is your second place in the points. Jason Lowe entering the pits and just gets it wrong. Entering the pits, a simple mistake, costing him dearly. Just a little bit of extra time. Now we have Altena in the pits as well. Number of drivers heading down. It's Altena, Bunyan, and Strid, all three now in the pits. So, will one try to undercut? Will they stick it out and take full fuel and tires? I think they will. And then they might try to do some fuel save and stretch here at the end. But now, starting on lap 17, so all of these drivers have made it exactly the number of laps that they did need to make it in order to be able to stretch to the end. You have to make it 16 laps each stint, otherwise you're going to have to go into like a few super fuel save in one of the stints and try and do 2 extra laps, and that would be really cutting it close, and I think you'd lose a lot of time if you tried to do that. So, lap 17 of 62, Altena ahead of Graham Bunyan and David Strid. That's your top 3. Jason Lowe, Dan Ensch, Mike West, Jimmy Drennan, Manuel Gomez Esteban, and Richard Kelbaugh, as well as Stefan Harding. That is your top 10 as they run. So Lowe recovering from his issue. As you can see, all of the bits still on the car. Racing for that rescue ranch, part of Ryan and Chrissy Newman's operation in North Carolina, where they do a lot of that rescuing stuff for animals. And of course, Rescue Ranch, always part of the, thanks to Jason, always part of the awareness that we bring here on VirtualRacing.Network each and every week. But plus, we'll be having an upcoming race here for the Rescue Ranch. Get a chance to talk a little bit more about them. Dan Ensch here, racing in 5th place. He's up 4 spots despite having an incident not that long ago. But Dan has a lot of experience at Watkins Glen, a lot of experience in these Indy cars, and certainly he knows how to be consistent. And consistency is what wins championships. Currently, Dan running 3rd in the championship, which is pretty fantastic to be 8 races in and in 3rd. And it's really interesting because he was running so well when I first started doing this broadcasting here for the US IndyCar League back in season 10. Can't remember if that was the season that he came in 2nd in the championship, but it was either season 10 or season 9. And now we go back up front. Julian Altena on that first lap on new tires. Last time it was the fastest lap at 55.80. And this time by 55.87. So incredible times here for Altena. See if we can get a lap time comparison for you going here. There we go. And you can see just how much faster Altena has been. And I don't think it's push to pass. I think it's those fresh tires, and that is just some monster time. I mean, we're basically talking qualifying times if we're talking 55.8s. So that's not where they qualified, but That's really, really close. That would have made, I think, the top 5 in qualifying. So, he'll begin another lap. Let's go ahead and ride on board with Julian Altena. So Altena down this very long back straightaway. You'll be getting a little bit of draft coming from that Stefan Harding car just in front. We'll see whether Harding stays on line or pulls off. Very fast sweeping corners. You can see a lot of grass already kicked up onto the circuit. And here Harding pulls to the inside. Altena takes his look down to the outside, and he'll make it by safely through turn 1. So that's a lap. That is how fast it goes by. It's so fast. A lot of time spent on throttle. Very, very little in the way of technicality here. But as I was just mentioning, so as these cars get to the end of this long straightaway, usually there's that loop there to the inside, but then also you would continue straight right there, continue straight right down that road, and that would take you through the outer loop. And so normally you would re-enter the track just before that second to last corner. You would re-enter the track from the outer loop, and I believe that actually heavily contributes to the overheating of the tires and the tire wear that these Indy cars face out here, because it's a very, very tight, it's a heavy braking, very tight left-hander, and then it's a right-hander and then a left-hander. So it's heavily damaging to these tires. And of course, the temperature today for these drivers, it's always a concern. Let's see if we can find where the button is. There it is. 106 degrees on track. When I say it's always a concern, it's because as that number goes up, as we see Altena having to deal with some lap traffic here, it's Richard Kelbaugh just in front. But as that temperature goes up, pretty much every 10 degrees it goes up, you get an extra 10% more wear or so, I would estimate. So if you've got 106 degrees on track right now, that's pretty warm. It's not as hot as we do typically see on iRacing. It's this the date is set to April 1st of this year. So during the summertime, it might be a bit warmer, 120 to 130 degrees on the track. You'd see a bit more tire wear, and that would definitely hamper these drivers. So, but you can see Altena on the black tires here. He does not have to be on the black tires, but he's choosing to be on those primary black sidewall tires because of their longevity. And that's, again, it's just the characteristics of Watkins Glen as a racetrack, that it tends to want to wear out these tires a little abnormally just due to the speeds. So 25 laps done here at Watkins Glen. Actually, we're working on our 25th lap. Altena over Graham Bunyan in second place. David Strid currently running in third. Jason Lowe in fourth, and Mike West in fifth. That's your top 5. We look back at Graham Bunyan, who's making his way around Richard Kelbaugh. Kelbaugh goes wide and lets the championship, the defending champion, I should say, 4 times straight, and now trying to work on that 5th championship. He just got back into the championship lead this last race after technical issues, etc. He's still having issues technically with his sim rig, but we'll have to catch up with him at the end of this race and see whether or not he's got some of those things figured out. Unfortunately, Mauro Ramirez, MJ Ramirez, checking in with us over on YouTube, letting us know he's in bed sick today. That's why he's not in the race, and that's unfortunate. One of the great competitors here in the U.S. IndyCar League, and also he's taken over the chief steward responsibilities, doing a great job of that. And letting us know here today that he's rooting on David and Graham. Well, you don't have to do much rooting for those guys. They're pretty much always on it every single week. So once again, feel free to let us know where you're watching from, if you're friends or family with any of these drivers, or if you're watching from outside the United States, let us know. If you've ever been to the Watkins Glen International Facility, if you've ever watched another race from the Watkins Glen International Facility, anything you want to chat about here Sunday morning on YouTube, drop it over in the channel and we'll chat it up here live on stream. And it's just always so cool to have fans and other racers dropping by as we're doing these races. Graham Bunyan, though, he's got his eyes focused. Now, I've been watching this gap slowly come back to him. It's now 1.06 seconds. See if we can tell on their lap times. There you can see it. Substantially faster every lap after those first couple of laps. Graham Bunyan is. And will he have a chance to go up there and pressure Julian Altena for this lead? I think he may just do that. So this lead is now evaporating very quickly, just a half a second between them. And that's how fast it happens here in the U.S. IndyCar League. Altena perhaps struggling with those tires. He's going to have to look in his rear view because here comes the drafting Graham Bunyan up behind. Will he make his attempt here? No. The wily old veteran sits in the catbird seat, ready to pounce. Figured we're kind of at a NASCAR track. It'd be a good time to pull out some NASCAR-isms. But here we go. Altena still holding the lead as we're about to begin lap number 30 here. Sorry, lap 29. I don't know why my digits don't update right on our timing and scoring. 29 laps just coming up to halfway, and it's just under a half a second between these two for the lead of round number 8 here for the U.S. IndyCar League, presented by Stickwick. Looking back from the 31, Bunyan still eyeing the prize, which is to take that first position away from Altena. Will he do it here into turn 1? He's got the draft. Decides to think better of it and backs out. Shows his nose a couple of times to Altena. Wow, you couldn't fit a piece of paper between them now as they're heading up the hill. Bunyan really pushing hard on Altena. They'll go side by side down the backstretch. Who will it be emerging at the end of the backstretch? It looks like Bunyan. Does not need the whole straightaway and the draft to be able to get it done, but Graham Bunyan now getting through. So we do actually have manually the ability to report everyone's push to pass. And that leaves Graham Bunyan with 5. Julian Altena with 9 presses left. 10 to David Strid. So Strid has used none. And the reason why, now we can actually get down to it, Altena on those Altena actually now using push to pass. And our timing and scoring software telling us that people are on red tires, but they're not. It's saying that Altena is on red tires at the moment, but unless my eyes are deceiving me, he's on the same color tires as Graham Bunyan just up in front. David Strid, though, back here in third, as that gap has now grown to a full second between Bunyan and Altena. This is now almost a 10-second gap to David Strid, but the number 48 machine continuing here as we see, looks like Richard Kelbaugh and Dan Ensch sort of battling it out here for 6th place. And not long ago, there was this incident. We're going to go back to this here. This was Jimmy Drennan sliding sideways and putting it into the wall. Now, that is what red tires look like. They have a giant red stripe on them. Quite easy to distinguish. And we now have Julian Altena and Jason Lowe both in the pits on lap 32. Altena now getting underway. And he will resume, and that gives... So that means that Graham, in addition to taking care of his tires, has also gone another lap on his fuel, which means that he will not need to do so on the next stint, or at least on the final stint. So we wait to see how that will affect everyone. David Strid now pulls it in also on the same lap. So back out over here on track, although he's going by at the same time. He's actually just unlapping himself, but Dan Ensch now shown in 6th position. And about 20 seconds back, I think, from Mike West, who started 5th. Driver out of Yakima, Washington. He's running well in the points and having a good run here today at top 5. Started 5th, running 5th. I have to say, you know, sometimes those are the best days where, and to some degree, that's why I like road courses, is because you can sometimes just find yourself alone, and it's just you and the track. And that's kind of been Mike West's story here so far. So we go back to the lead, and it's Graham Bunyan, who continues to lead here after pit stops. That gap, 1.1 seconds, and it's actually coming down a little bit to Julian Altena. Now it does correctly show him on the black sidewall tires. And so, under a second between these two. And now some lap traffic with Mike West exiting the pits just in front of Graham Bunyan. This is Graham's teammate, and he's going to slow him up a little bit coming up the hill. Graham has to look for a way by. Mike goes wide, but it definitely cost him a little bit of time. About 1/10 of a second as Altena able to start to close in on Graham Bunyan again. So 3-way battle here. One of the cars a lap down, Mike West, in this picture, but doing his best teammate job of trying to fend off Julian Altena for just a moment and keep him off the backside of Graham Bunyan, and he's done a wonderful job of that as he managed to slow up Julian by about 0.3 of a second. It's part of the fun gamery and tricks here that you can utilize in iRacing. Julian Altena on the button right now, push to pass being activated. Once again, you have 10 of those pushes. You can use them at any point of the race. There's no way to refill them. So Julian now has taken the gap back to about where it was there, just about 9/10, now out to a full second. So we'll keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, we look back, and here's Jason Lowe. He was running earlier a little bit better until he had that incident entering the pits just as he was trying to make a pit stop. And so now he's gathered it all back up. Car's righted again, and though he started fourth and runs in fourth, this may just end up being another one of those weeks where you get to the end and you just sort of pat yourself on the back for surviving. Lowe continuing here on lap number 36. And that gap back at the front, still about 1 second. So again, we'll keep an eye on that. Looking a little bit further back, this is Dan Ensch. He's up 4 spots so far in the ALZ.org Last Lap Motorsports machine. We were just talking about Mike West starting to slip back through the field, now behind Dan Ensch, so out of that top 5 position, but running in 6th, and again, just having a solid day, just holding the car to the track, not crashing. That's a lot of times that's the best way to go. Manuel Gomez Esteban, well, he did have a crash, but he managed to get that car repaired. And despite all of that, he's still gained 5 positions so far today. So the Spaniard racing for Team Mazinger and Super Mango. I believe he's still racing for Super Mango. I don't know if I still see the... can we look at the gearbox? See, I don't see the Super Mango sponsorship on there anymore. So I'm not sure if that deal is still current, but... quite a colorful character, Manuel Gomez Esteban, and great regular to the series. Always bringing some lively chat in the Facebook and the Discord group for the league. But back out front, once again, this gap still just under a second, 0.9 seconds between Graham Bunyan and Julian Altena, who are laying down pretty good laps, 56.99 to 56.73 for Altena this last time by. And so Altena now actually 0.7, just 0.7 of a second, so he's starting to clip back into this lead of Bunyan's. Once again, now down to 0.6. So will Altena be able to hunt down Bunyan? Well, here's an interesting strategy call with 24 to go. This is Dan Ensch pitting, and not 100% sure. I don't really know. I mean, that's not a planned pit stop. So, not sure why Dan is in, but that's unfortunate. Will definitely cost him. Bunyan, though, has really lost a lot of time to Altena. Now just down to 0.3 of a second. So we've had a battle for most of this race, and these two have been swapping positions. And thank goodness Altena came out to give us a battle here today. These two now, with just 24 laps remaining, are going to have a 20-lap shootout to decide the end of this race. And Bunyan pulling over to let Altena go by. I'm not sure why. But maybe didn't want to take a chance on battling with Altena. I'm not 100% sure. But Altena has now taken the lead. And let's go on board. Is there something wrong with Graham's machine? Watching for the end of the straightaway, it looks like he's getting at least most of the way up onto the revs, and his steering wheel does appear to be working. So I'm not sure. Maybe there was just a temporary glitch. Technical glitch has been happening, unfortunately, for Graham Bunyan. And just as we were heading for a 20-lap shootout, I could feel the audience is just slowly exhaling now. But either way, if you're Julian Altena, hey, I'll tell you what, I've been in this position too. And it doesn't matter how you get a victory. And we do have another driver off track. It's Stefan Harding having a moment there. He's trashed that Dallara IR-18 IndyCar. That is just before the final corner. And the 05 machine really destroyed there. We've already seen an incident earlier. Let's see if we can tell what happened. I'm going to guess it's the same thing with it getting loose as he comes around the left-hander here. Comes around the left-hander, and indeed the rear end starts to walk away and right into that wall. And, I mean, I'm just being... Okay, so let's talk about that incident as Stefan gets his damage fixed, or perhaps we'll call it a day. We'll see. And we picked up another subscriber. Goodness gracious, that's like 5 subscribers today. So great to have y'all joining us here at VirtualRacing.Network. Go Team VOR, also racing with Julian in another league. Oh, it's okay, you can mention it. We're not competitive here. Julian's got a great league going on. Velocity Online Racing League, so make sure to check it out. He's got great YouTube channel, great presence on camera, or behind the camera, I should say. And he's just surprised he decided to race with us in the US IndyCar League today. Well, me too, but hey, why not? The more the merrier, we say. Now, this race, just 13 entrants, but we just saw over 20 entrants for a couple of races here at the US IndyCar League. So definitely, if you want to get out there like Julian Altena and come out here and see if you can challenge Graham Bunyan and David Strid, I mean, I promise on the ovals it's a bit more challenging to keep up with those guys because they are quite masters of the ovals. Not to say they are slouches on road courses either, which says a lot about Julian Altena. Quite capable young man. But nevertheless, if you want to get out there, the link is in the description. Make sure you click down there, and that will take you right over to the member page over on iRacing. You can apply. Let them know, you know, hey, I've done a couple of IndyCar races, or I've done a bunch of IndyCar races. Either way, just let them know that you've done some racing on iRacing, and they have some basic requirements in terms of number of races or things like that. And then you'll get invited out to the Saturday practice session just to make sure everything is good and groovy there. Then you'll be out here on broadcast Sunday. It's that fast. Could happen maybe a week from now. So click that link down there in the description, and we will see you out there on track here at VirtualRacing.Network. As well, it's a good time to mention that Stick Quick, proud presenting sponsor of the US IndyCar League. Well, why don't we go ahead and just make it official just how great Stick Quick is. As we look here at the Team Stick Quick car of Richard Kelbaugh, he's of course, got everything going there in that machine. That number 24 Dallara IR-18 IndyCar. He's got it all going from inside the cockpit, but what you can't see are stuck around him in that cockpit is everything he could possibly need. He's got, I mean, he's got pens, pencils, wrenches, vaporizers, you name it. He's got it stuck around him. Anything he could need while he's racing, stuck around him right to his sim rig. Now, how is that possible? Well, it is through the magic of something that we call the Stick Quick. Now, you may not be familiar with it yet, but it is about to revolutionize your life. And this is how. You can see right there on your screen, stuck to the side of the tool shed in your car, just as I was mentioning from Richard Kelbaugh. He's got all these devices stuck around his whole cockpit. How it's done? Very simple. The Stick Quick is a revolutionary device that slips right around any instrument, implement, utensil, anything that you need to keep handy. It's made of ultra high density, UV resistant, chemical resistant silicone, and inside is a rare earth magnet. That's right, super strong, can hold up to 2 pounds Each one of these little rings can hold up to 2 pounds of a tool. That's pretty substantial, and the larger size can hold up to even 3 pounds. So just think of what you can do by putting these around your house, on your car, on your tool chest. And then you can see it's even stuck this razor here in the shower. How handy and accessible is that? Super easy to get at. You don't even need to fumble around and look for your razor or clean things off or any of these. Right there. How do you do it? Well, they provide these little sticky pads that you can see there at the bottom of the screen as well. All included in one package. 6 different colors, 6 different, I believe 3 different sizes, 6 different colors. You can get them right there on stickquick.com. Head on over today and tell them that you saw the U.S. IndyCar League broadcast, and they will be very happy to know that their sponsorship is working. And we're all very happy to be working, including Julian Altena. Everything's working very, very well in the cockpit of the 31 machine. It's been pretty much just the Sunday drive. As we hop on board here with Altena, you can see his driving suit. He actually has what appears to be hearts on white boxer shorts. Appears to be his driving suit. So, this being iRacing, you can do pretty much whatever you want as long as it doesn't violate broadcast policy, and that does not. So, Mr. Altena with quite a colorful presence here on iRacing for sure. And he's making his final stop, as is Graham Bunyan. Now in for the final time, David Strid as well as Jason Lowe. So I'll be very curious to ask Mr. Bunyan in our post-race interviews what that was all about, just letting Altena go by. And if I had to say, if I'm just being completely honest, it's probably the substantially more experienced, we'll say that, Graham Bunyan saying, I do not need to get into a dogfight right now with this young man, Julian Altena. I do not need to see our cars come together and it all end in tears. I've got a championship to win, and it's, you know, Bunyan has raced with larger margins in the championship, for sure, and we may very well see him open up a larger margin in the championship over time. But right now, he's got a pretty narrow lead in the championship by just about 20 points, and with Jason Lowe running 4th, the last thing that Graham would want to see is him get into a battle with Altena, get knocked out, and then end up letting Jason Lowe perhaps get a 3rd, 2nd, or 1st place in this race and just see points magically evaporate. And that is exactly what can happen. As you can see, you know, we've talked about it numerous times. You can see Rick Lovison taking service here on pit lane for the final time. But, yeah, we've talked about it. It's very easy to get it wrong through these corners. And if you don't pedal it softly enough, you certainly can end up flying off track and hitting the wall very, very quickly. But when you've got another driver hounding you from behind and trying to race you side by side on top of trying to pedal those tires, that's when it gets really easy to make mistakes. Wow, it looked like Altena had a very late cut in on that entry. Looked like maybe he got it a little loose under braking headed down into turn 1 there. So something to watch out for. Just 13 laps to go here at Watkins Glen International. You're watching live on VirtualRacing.Network, our ongoing coverage of Season 15, race number 8 from Watkins Glen. Presented by StickQuick.com, as always. And Julian Altena has emerged here. The young Dutch driver for Velocity Online Racing has emerged as your race leader, qualifying in 2nd place, going up and immediately challenging Graham Bunyan, settling for a couple of laps, or for a few laps, to run behind Bunyan, but then getting the muster up another stint later and being able, with fresher tires, to be able to overtake Graham Bunyan, and he's set sail. Now, almost 9 seconds, just over 9 seconds between himself and Graham Bunyan, and it's continuing to grow as Altena now on the push to pass with just 12 laps remaining. So one thing that you would note, if these drivers thought they were going to be tight on fuel at all, they would not be burning the push to pass. The push to pass is it's a richener. It allows more fuel to go through the system, and so gives you an extra little bit of horsepower. And by richening it up, of course, you burn more fuel. And so if you're trying to fuel save, the two do not go hand in hand. So we've been focusing there on Altena for quite some time. How about David Strid? He's been having a decent race. He started in third. He did get up into second. Looked like it might be the Graham Bunyan David Strid show, as it seems like it's going to set up that way so often. And in the front runnings of the race, a lot of times it is Bunyan and Strid. Whether it's, which one in front of the other is anyone's question. As we do have Gomez Esteban in 5th position, crashing right there, the same place that we've been talking about. Second to last corner, I'm sure the rear end got loose, and Esteban is going to have to now get into the pits. And he does just manage to get in with that flopping right-hand corner. So let's go back to that. This is where he first goes off track. He gets a little wide on entry there. Kind of gets it wrong through the apex, and that just unsettles the car across the rest of the corner. Very easy. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So on a normal lap, you're kind of treading right on that edge anyway. And that's why this track is so deceiving with how simple it is, and yet that balance through that last set of corners. I've done a 4-hour endurance race here, and it's no different. And yes, the tires are a little bit harder on the endurance machines, on the GTs, but in reality, you really do have to watch those tires coming through that very difficult section. Just incredibly deceiving, and it's caught out. I mean, I don't want to keep droning on about it, but I just, every time I have come here in any series, whether it's a league race or an open race, fixed race, doesn't matter. This track catches out so many drivers, and it's that final set of corners that always gets everyone. And I am always surprised how lightly people take this track, and then we show up for the race and they always get caught out by those final corners. But proving true again here today. Altena, though, proving that he is quite skilled and has gotten even better, as he seems to just delight in taking some slightly four-wheel drifts through these corners. He must be feeling magic in this car. He just burned the final push to pass. Now up 11 seconds on Graham Bunyan. Kind of making it look easy against the four-time champ. Actually, Graham Bunyan with more championships than that, but 4 times consecutively. And although this performance, as I mentioned, from Altena, quite impressive, really the story of the championship and the whole season has been Graham Bunyan having some technical issues initially through some races and being set back. Jason Lowe being the leader in the championship through 7 races, and then, or through 6 races, and then following the last race, finally Graham Bunyan able to not only take victory and take the lead in the championship, but start really honestly looking at a 5th consecutive championship here in the U.S. IndyCar League. And that would be something entirely Schumacher and Hamilton-esque, if I do say so. So some different drivers checking in here in the YouTube chat. Great to have you. Again, MJ, Julian Altena even chatting while he's driving. Indeed, letting us know that he's just chilling. Graham let him go. Pretty easy drive. Chatting on YouTube while he's racing. Julian Altena. And again, that's just some of the fun camaraderie that we can do here versus real life racing. Of course, the real life car is going to be doubleheader at Iowa again today. And for those of you that just watched the Formula One race, we appreciate you joining us here as we're watching Graham Bunyan continue. And he's had it pretty much handed to him today, if I am being completely honest. Graham let Julian Altena go by when he saw him approaching in his mirror several laps ago. And it has been smooth sailing for the young Dutchman. Now well over 10 seconds in hand over Graham. And it would be quite easy to get it wrong and throw it all away, but something tells me Altena is not going to let that happen today. Just 5 more to go. He'll get the high five from Barney, the flag man. They cross by here, start-finish stripe. Altena sets sail for just 5 more clicks around Watkins Glen International to put his name in the U.S. IndyCar League history books as a first-time winner. That'd be the first time we've seen that for some time. So we take a look a little bit further back at some of our other drivers. Here's Rick Lovison. He's up 3 spots today, up in 8th, having a solid top 10. Mike West just in front, running in 7th place. He was up in the top 5. He's lost a couple of spots. But again, just trucking along, and he'll end up with those crucial points at the end of this championship season. So crucial to just not crash out, not end up in 12th or 13th in a field like this today. Richard Kelbaugh, Mr. Stick Quick, also up 2 spots from where he qualified, and definitely road course racing not his forte, but Kelbaugh still doing a fantastic job out there and just outside of the top 5, and really a great thing for him. He's had a great surge in the championship this season, right around that top 5 most of the season. So keeping all eyes on the presenting sponsors, lead driver, Mr. Richard Kelbaugh, there running in 6th place. Here's Dan Ensch for the ALZ.org Last Lap Motorsports team. Currently 4 spots gained up into 5th position. He's had a couple of tangles today, but he's managed to keep it relatively clean and on track, and that's why he may be 2 laps down, but he's still going to collect some good points. Jason Lowe, well, he qualified 4th. He's in 4th with 4 to go, and unfortunately, actually make that 3 to go. Unfortunately, for Lowe, he needs more points than this if he's going to try to get back up there and take that points lead once again. So he'll have to wait for our next race. See if he can do it on an oval and manage to put Graham Bunyan in his rear view. Here's David Strid, who's running in 3rd. He also qualified 3rd, and he's running exactly where he qualified. But Strid's had that kind of season. As weird as it is to say, we should see more 1st and 2nd places out of David Strid just based on sheer pace. But it just doesn't seem to work out that way every single week. Nevertheless, he's holding on to a podium position here, and if it weren't for that darn Julian Altena showing up, he'd be looking at a 2nd place and running right behind his teammate to a podium position. However, Graham Bunyan just up in front with 2 laps to go now. 13 seconds back from Julian Altena. And this is going to be a head scratcher. I think Graham's going to be very happy with his performance today, but he knows he's leaving some points on the table by not winning this race. And I'm sure, although he would love to go up there and make that pass and take the win just out of pure pride, well, there's only so much you can do. And Graham will have to pick back up and head forward with the rest of the ovals on this schedule. See if he can put some more points on Jason Lowe and the rest. What else can you say about Julian Altena? He's been getting it all done today. He's going to head down this long start-finish straightaway. Take that white flag as you saw him just go underneath Barney the flag man. There's nobody behind for him to look at. It's all smooth sailing in front of Julian Altena as he's wearing his Hart boxer shorts and just cruising on to victory, I suppose, letting us know in the YouTube chat. And Aussie Racer now chiming in saying he won't race someone who's not racing full-time in the league. Well, that's his choice as well. Nevertheless, it will be Altena who will get the coverage on the screen. So, Altena rounding the final couple of corners. Can he keep it clean? I think he will. Julian Altena puts his name into the history books in the U.S. IndyCar League and takes victory here at Watkins Glen International. Bringing it down to the start-finish straight there, as you can see, and saluting his mechanics. There's Graham Bunyan, who also brings it down to the inside, giving a nice salute to he and David Strid's team and their mechanics, who have done a fantastic job preparing these machines for today's race. Jason Lowe still continuing here. Couple more corners to go, and Lowe will end up in that fourth position. Out of the final corner he comes. And across the start-finish straight. Start-finish stripe there to finish this one out. So, Altena celebrates in front of the fans, and he'll take that celebration around here for the rest of this lap. And we'll go ahead and take a look here at your final finishing order. As you saw it right here, VirtualRacing.Network. It is Julian Altena who took victory over Graham Bunyan, listed by 14 seconds. That's even with a little bit of a slowdown there on that final lap. David Strid in third position, the final seat of the podium. Jason Lowe in fourth, Dan Ensch in fifth, Richard Kelbaugh, Mr. Stickwick, strong finish there in sixth place, Mike West seventh, Rick Lovison in eighth, Manuel Gomez Esteban in ninth, Stefan Harding taking 10th, Jimmy Drennan just outside the top 10 in 11th, Will Stearns in 12th, having some difficulty in a crash earlier, but mixing it up out there and having a good time, and Danny Alt finishing up in 13th. So, we will be looking to get some of these drivers into our post-race interview here momentarily. And in the meantime, do want to, of course, thank StickQuick.com, presenting sponsor here of the U.S. IndyCar League for many, many races in a row. And, of course, it was an exciting race today. 62 laps of fun and excitement, and we saw quite a lot of passing. This was right on the start here. If we take a look at this start, it was Altena and Strid right at the very beginning as they battled and went up the hill. It was eventually Altena who would get back by Strid on that straightaway, and then here later Altena making a move around Graham Bunyan for the lead of the race. And Bunyan tried for several laps to get back around, couldn't do it. And then here in the pits, Graham Bunyan did manage to get back out in front for just a tiniest of a second. But then it was back for Altena to take that lead once again. See if we can cue up that replay here. And I think that's the wrong replay. Just killing a little bit of time until someone can show up and talk to us here in the broadcast booth. And finally, we do have someone. It's Dan Ensch who's decided to pop over and say hello to us. I have a feeling there might be some tempers flaring. I'm not really sure what's going on, but nobody's wanting to come talk to us in post-race chat, except for the solid driver who finished in 5th. And I'll tell you what, Dan, your car looks great every single week out there in that purple and white with the ALZ Racing for Last Lap Motorsports. Can you just talk us through your 5th place finish today and what it was like out there on the track?
Well, if there is somebody that might be a little bit miffed at me, it would be Manuel. I hate what I did to Manuel. Back on lap 4 is where all my problems came when I got a little bit too close to a couple of guys, including Will, going through the S's, and I lost a little grip and smacked the wall going through turn 4, and that damaged my wing. And then we got to turn 1, and I couldn't control the car and had to check up a lot, and Manuel was right on my tail, and that kind of ruined his race too, so I apologize to him for that. After that, I guess if there was a silver lining, it was that I could short pit and get fresh tires underneath me the whole rest of the way, and I was able to make up a lot of time that way, even though I had an extra pit stop, and basically just kept it between the lines and let everybody else do their thing, and drove as best I could. And hey, never give up, never surrender.
Never give up, never surrender, and always keep your head down fighting for that position, because you don't know when it's going to pop up. Maybe somebody will crash out in front of you and you'll get a chance to pick up maybe a freebie, or maybe somebody will slow down. You get that chance to make that pass that you want to. Was it challenging on the tires today? What was it like making that choice between the black sidewall tires, the primaries, and the alternates? Just what was the tire strategy like out there?
For me, there wasn't any strategy. Put the blacks on and keep them on. I'm glad this is a league where we don't have to run the reds, because I hated them in practice. They were slow, they gave up easy, and I just didn't think they were the way to go at all on this track, and I did a lot better with the blacks on, I think.
Well, obviously a lot of drivers preferring those black primary tires, and that has been such a controversy over the last year or year and a half as iRacing has been developing these tires. But would you say that we finally have some interesting parity between the two? Is it starting to feel like on road courses you might go for reds at some times and you might go for blacks at other times?
Yeah, it depends on the track. For this particular track and the configuration we were running today, the high speed running, no, the reds were no good as far as I'm concerned. Now, yeah, the drivers might feel differently, but there was no way I was putting red tires on the car today. But other tracks, yeah, the reds turn out to be a handy choice. So, it just depends on what you want.
Well, since we may or may not get a chance to talk with we won't get a chance to talk with our winner, but possibly our second place or third might decide to show up. But either way, talk us through what we've got left on the schedule here. We go from here to Loudon next week. That should be a lot of fun, a short track. I know you're a fan of short track oval racing. And then Phoenix, another classic track. And then back to the big track at Michigan, wide open. And then finally ending up with Indy. Next week, Loudon, though, what do you think?
Yeah, I do like Loudon. That is another racetrack that you need to conserve your tires and weight, and I'm real good at that. And I've always had a good time at Loudon. And then Phoenix, I really think I can win Loudon. I really do.
I believe you.
and we go to Phoenix, and I think I'm a shoe in there. I've got that one in my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Then we go to Michigan, and of course I like those high-speed tracks and heavy traffic. So there's a win. Mark that down.
Okay, that's 3 out of 4 so far.
Yeah, and then Indianapolis. Hey, that's my kind of town. So wait a minute, that's the wrong city. Never mind. But that's mine too. I'm winning these. I'm going 4 in a row to finish the season. I'm going to beat Graham by 1 point.
Wow. Well, you've heard it right here on VirtualRacing.Network first.
I
right?
wouldn't repeat that in public, though.
This is live out to the world, and we have a lot of watchers right now, Dan. We've got like 12 people watching us right now. So,
well, I'm not running for office, so I can tell all the tall tales I want to.
Like 800 views on this video. It's insane. Thank you so much, everybody out there on YouTube who checked in. You got a chance to check out Dan Ensch in action. And this is, we'll get back to the ovals next week. Should be a lot of fun. Good luck with those 4 wins in a row, Dan. That should be quite the feat. But everyone can watch it right here on VirtualRacing.Network. Good luck with the rest of your season, man.
Thanks a lot. And again, thanks to Alzheimer's Association for everything they do. I'm glad I could get them a little FaceTime today. Thank you to Stick Quick for sponsoring, and thank you, Trevor.
Absolutely, my pleasure. That was Dan Ensch joining us. Fresh off the track, 5th place finish, gained 4 spots today, always getting that great awareness out for the ALZ.org, and ending Alzheimer's can't happen too soon. Nevertheless, Julian Altena, your victor here on VirtualRacing.Network. As we mentioned, next week, same time, same channel, be right here. Hit that big red subscribe button. Like this video. 10 o'clock Eastern time next Sunday. We'll be at Loudon. Will you be here? You better be. It's going to be some exciting short track, explosive action. So on behalf of everybody here, the U.S. IndyCar League, myself, Trevor Greenfield, and VirtualRacing.Network, this has been a production of VirtualRacing.Network, and we do hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Until then, bye-bye, everybody. Enjoy the IndyCar race from Iowa. Bye-bye.